What's up, everybody? It's Mickey. I just finished watching Turki Alalshikh, Mike Coppinger, and Rick Reno, and the other guy, Henson, where Turkey revealed his future plans for boxing and, you know, showcasing of the Ring magazine belt and how much it cost and all this other bull crap. Man, I told y'all, man, Turki Alalshikh is destroying boxing. He don't know, man. I don't like this. And his future plans, although they sound good and everything, he's weeding out a lot of the past champions, man, of boxing that made boxing great. And one of them is Floyd Mayweather. I realized that he's really trying to bury Floyd Mayweather and make him not even talked about as one of the greatest fighters that ever laced up a pair of gloves. Man, this whole future plans from the Saudi Arabia sheik who's been throwing money at boxing, and most people worship money. They worship the mammon god, so they'll bow down to it no matter what. I'm not that type of guy. You know what I'm saying? I am money, so money doesn't control me. I feel like a lot of people don't understand just the way that when you hear and see things that it can kind of mess with history and how it was built because of what, not only what Floyd did to increase the revenue of the smaller fighter, in the past. A lot of people overlooking that now because of what Floyd is doing with, like I was saying, this is how you treat us by doing this $402 million lie that was exposed out in New York with you buying all these buildings and all that, but that's outside of boxing. I was just playing and everything like that because, inside that square circle, Floyd was the man. A lot of people don't like him. At one point, he was the villain of boxing, to where all of these new fighters and up and coming superstars of boxing mimicked him and followed his blueprint and tried to receive the bounty of the prize fighting treasures, I like to say, because Floyd was one of the most paid fighters in the history. I think that he was the most famous and paid athlete for like 4 or 5 years straight, dominating Ronaldo, the football player, the soccer player, and Turkey is kind of he's kind of like pushing Floyd into the grave, like, because the new Ring magazine, which Ring magazine ain't the belt, man, that's nothing. Everybody's making it like it's a huge thing now because Turkey has put $100 and something thousand into a damn belt when he should be putting it into these fighters' pockets, because we're prize fighters at the end of the day. And yeah, it's okay to have $100 and something thousand belt and all of that, but I'd rather have $100 and something thousand in my bank account. You feel what I'm saying? And I just don't like him, man. I don't know the guy, not to dislike him, but I don't like his plans. In other words, I don't want to say that I don't like him because I don't know him not to like him, because I love everybody. But at the same time, the plans he revealed on this Ring magazine video that I just watched, it's not what me as a former fighter and understanding that, that these guys rather would have money than all of these hundreds of $1,000s and belts and all that, man. And plus the Ring magazine was never a belt to be. I mean, they could say it was coveted now, because it's solid gold and all. Man, it's not recognized like that. You know what I'm saying? It was just some extra stuff that it was man, I don't. It. But to argue with people nowadays, it's like futile. You know what I'm saying? Because people are stuck in their ways. They don't listen to you. They don't even remember the past. They just remember an hour ago. You know what I'm saying? People forget so fast nowadays. It's like unbelievable. Like when you try to explain to them what's really going on, what happened in the past and how it's shaping our future, they don't want to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to listen to Turki Alalshikh, because he has all this money and everything, he's still ruining the sport of boxing, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Just like he was saying in the video, the customs of Saudi Arabia was to have Terrence and Canelo eat together and all. We don't care about none of that. No, this is boxing. This is American boxing. This is American boxing, and he's changing the standards to fit his future plans because he has the money. And, that's why I was so glad that Gervonta didn't follow in the footsteps of all these other people that bow down to Turki. And now I'm hearing that Gervonta is going to be a part of Riyadh season because Turki is throwing the money at him. He bought him the Ferraris or whatever that he asked for and all this other stuff. So, but that's because I'm a biblical person and I understand how in the 4th chapter of Luke, where Satan took Jesus up, the Almighty, on that high mountain and told him, all of this is mine to give you, the kingdoms of the world. He showed him the glory and all of that. And this was Satan. He told him, if you was to bow down and worship me, you can have it all. And Christ denied him and said that, no, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God only, and him only shalt thou serve. And that's what I believe. I believe in what Christ say, serve him only, serve the Lord God only. And what I liken that to is, stay in the same path as what we created this thing for, which I mean by the sweet science. And don't falter, don't move to the right or the left. Don't let nobody change your way in how the sport was created for champions and everything, even though at the time a lot of mobsters and all of these different people had their hands in it, because boxing was a very profitable sport, and it still is. It still is a profitable sport, but it's been waned lately because of the performances that these so-called stars are giving it. And now we have this. To me, he's coming in like Satan. He's coming in like a demon and destroying this beautiful sport by throwing money at it, by throwing all of these different things that and taking it from the United States and bringing it to Saudi Arabia and everything, and people are just looking at it, oh no, it ain't like that, and everything. And to hear his future plans, you'll start to listen to me. Miki know what he talking about, man. And everybody is following this money train, saying that, he's better off for boxing than what we currently had, with Don King and all. I like it when Don King and all of them was involved. Like I said in my a message probably about 2 months ago or something, I was talking about I was loving boxing when the Mafia was in, but I didn't like the fact that a lot of fighters were getting treated wrongly as far as, their money being taken, but they fought harder. I can tell you that, for the amount of money that they was getting. They fought harder than what these fighters that are getting millions of dollars today are fighting, and giving the fans of what they want. And that's why I was saying, like, Turkey, and then they're bringing in Dana White, to which, he's been meagerly paying the MMA fighters, and he's going to do the same thing in boxing, because he's going to make way, way, way more money in boxing, Dana White that is, and he's already a billionaire, because boxing is way more lucrative and everything. And even though you're giving these the fans what they want to see with these fights and everything, they're still not giving the prize to the fighter like they should, like just like in MMA. You know what I'm saying? They're not making a lot of money, and that's why you see Nagano and all of these different MMA fighters come over to boxing, fighting Jake Paul. Jake Paul's knocking out all of them, wasn't he? Woodley, remember, he knocked him out. He was knocking out all them MMA fighters and everything. But they were getting paid. They were getting paid. Like, one fight in boxing was their whole career. They up. When Nagano fought, who did he fight? Joshua. When he fought Joshua, he got paid like a monk. But he fought, was it Tyson Fury? One of the top fighters. I don't remember. Because I ain't really into the MMA like that. But Nagano came over and fought and did well, and he got paid. They said his purse was more than they said it was more than his whole career. One fight of boxing was more than his whole career. So that lets you know how lucrative boxing is. And you heard Sean O'Malley talking about he wanted to fight Haney at one time, the boy from Henderson, Nevada. And, these were big fights that were planned back then, but it never came to fruition. And now we're seeing Alalshikh trying to make all of these different fights that the fans really want to see, because it is a lot of fights that they want to see and everything. And I'm taking it back. Like, I'm on the fence with him, because I don't trust him. The things that he say, I know what the sport really entails and everything. And to have the belt, they said, on the ring belt, they got Muhammad Ali and Terrence Crawford's face on there, and then, Chavez and somebody else on there, Mexican fighter, and Canelo, I think, on there. And they took Floyd Mayweather out of the whole situation. And Floyd was the face of boxing for so long, because, like I said, a lot of people don't appreciate Floyd and don't understand what they were watching when they watched Floyd. But he really got these people into the position that they're in. These fighters, especially at the lower weight classes, lightweight, welterweight, junior welterweight, and all of that, and middleweight. He really, featherweight. He got all of these lower weight classes paid by him being an outspoken spokesman or an ambassador for the sport of boxing, and they're really not giving him his flowers because of the antics that's been going on outside of the ring and the hate that they had for him, because he was such an outspoken person at one time. And, he's calmed down so much. Like, the pretty boy, there could never be another pretty boy today, because the world is in a different lane as far as the softness or the it's like the world can't take a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are like when Mayweather made that character, Money Mayweather and Pretty Boy, these were characters. These were people that entertain, because all of it is entertainment. In the world today, they can't take a joke. They can't take somebody being something bigger than what the past champions have been. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mayweather was like a Muhammad Ali in the lower weight classes as far as his personality and his attitude and everything. And you could see that the people hated it. They hated him. You know, they paid to see him lose. And now we got these people out here, because I believe it's because of the scorpion jab. I really believe that. I really believe that a lot of these folks, man, their consciousness is gone. These dope, they lunching today, man. It's just like, and I don't, it's just incredible to me, because I've been, you know, involved in the sport of boxing for so long, to see all of the changes that are coming about. And it's not for the better in my eyes. You know what I mean? Most people might say, nah, man, you don't know what you're talking about, this and that. But you'll see in the future, because I think that Alalshikh and the customs of Saudi Arabia is not the same as America. You know, the American custom. America, it's called American boxing for a reason. It's, you know, we are the pioneers of this sport, and they're taking it away from us and making it something that it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, to put the Ring magazine belt on a pedestal, because they, you know, during the video, Alalshikh and Mike Coppinger and Rick Reno was saying that Canelo was making some type of altar in his house for the belt. Before, this is ahead of the fight with him and that's why I said they overlooking Crawford. They doing the same thing that Spence did with Crawford. First, you know, that they just released that old video a couple of days ago of Crawford and Canelo with Shaq on, and Tom Brady and Dana White on the GOATs podcast in New York City on top of that building, and you saw how he questioned Crawford's resume, then came back and said that, you know, because Shaq had asked him about Benavidez, and he was talking about Crawford is a 2-time undisputed and 4-weight division, all this other crap. But he questioned it, and I'm saying to myself, man, this is why I'm saying that boxing is really gone into the dumps, because you're sitting up here questioning somebody's resume, knowing that you should be fighting Benavidez, knowing that Benavidez been calling you out for the last 4 years or whatever, and you've been ducking him. I don't care what nobody say. I said that Canelo would have had a better chance at fighting Benavidez 4 or 5 years ago than he does now, because of his recent performances, like with the Skull fight, Ryder, Berlanga. You know, all of these fights that he's been having trouble and haven't been able to get folks out, because like I said, I always resort back to what I know. Canelo is a partier. He's a drinker. He drinks alcohol. He gets drunk. It's been on video showing him not being that world-class champion like everybody know that he used to be. And this is what I explain to folks. That's why I'm telling you, Crawford is going to surprise him, man. Crawford is going to surprise him, just like Floyd did. Floyd, that's why I don't understand why Floyd ain't mentioned in the... See, Canelo don't want you to mention Floyd. That's why he said that Crawford was better than Floyd, which was crazy to me. I'm like, how would you deny him his resume and then say he's better than one of the greatest fighters that ever fought in the sport of boxing? You're going to say that Crawford is better than him when Floyd paved the way for both of you guys? And then Floyd was 36, 37 when he fought you and schooled you. It wasn't, and they were saying because it was a split decision. I'm like, what? Anybody, I could take anybody who never even watched boxing, never even, they're not even involved in any types of sports, and show them the Canelo Alvarez against Floyd Mayweather fight, and let them watch all 12 rounds and say, do you think this is a split? Was this something that was close to you? No. It was because of Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya at the time. He was in these dudes. Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions were creating Frankensteins to defeat Floyd Mayweather. They were creating fighters to defeat Floyd Mayweather. That's how Floyd had a stamp on boxing. They were getting people out of the woodworks to fight him, to beat him, man. Because Oscar himself couldn't beat him. Floyd whooped him and took over all of his fans when they fought. And so they've always hated Floyd Mayweather. They've always hated him. And now they've got this sheik over in Saudi Arabia because you know him and Oscar are really close. Alalshikh and Oscar De La Hoya. And I'm telling you, Oscar hates Floyd Mayweather. I don't care what nobody say. I know it. And he's advising the sheik to diminish Floyd's boxing career. And that's why they don't have him on this Ring magazine photo on the belt. They got Terrence Crawford over top of Floyd Mayweather on the belt as a picture. Floyd Mayweather should be on all of the belts that they have. IBF, WBO, all of the belts. All of the belts. Floyd Mayweather's face should be a part of all of the belts because he paved the way not only for all of the belts or what they've been taking from these fighters, 3 to 5% of the purse to pay for the belt. Because you know, which is crazy. It's like, you coming to when you were young and playing in the AAU. That's just like if they gave you a trophy and told you got to pay for it. You would be like, what? I don't want that trophy. That's why I was saying a long time ago, man, you should, man, forget the belt. I was telling Jerron, forget the belt. He talking about he want to get all the belt. Man, forget the belt. You got to pay for the belt. Get the money. Get the bread. As far as taking the fights that you supposed to, like when he was supposed to take that Teofimo fight, take the Virgil Ortiz fight at 154 when he was 147. Now he's moving up and all. Everybody know the story now, but at the time, I was saying, man, forget because, if you was to look at it with the eyes of common sense, why would you want to, who cares about a belt? Who cares? I mean, I understand that the belt makes you, feel like a champion and all that because it's what the former champions done, but they're taking money from you. It's like I said, if you were coming up and you were AAU or whatever, youth establishment that they have now and you was to play any type of sport and they were to give you a trophy and then tell you got to pay for this trophy, would you want it? No. And this is the same thing as an adult being in the sport of boxing that you got to pay for. Sanctioning fees and all of these other things, you pay for the trophy and they take it out of your purse and everybody wants to be recognized. It's like, it's like a host status, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like you putting somebody on the track or whatever, but they look rich, but they broke. And that's what they're doing. They're taking money out of the fighters. That's why I don't care about no belt. I care about winning fights. You winning fights, that should establish you as the Hall of Fame and all that. The belts, you got to pay for them anyway. So who cares about that? I mean, it's not that important in my eyes. I mean, it might be important in your eyes or other fans' eyes, which is fine. You know what I mean? You might just don't know as much as I do. But I just look at it as, Turkey is throwing money at a situation, not understanding the situation of the sweet science. He doesn't understand. He's just trying to get names to fight against each other, which is cool because the more money he's putting into it, the more these fights can be made by opponents that would usually avoid each other because they want to secure they want to remain like Floyd Mayweather. And that's why I don't like the fact that he's not in the conversation. I don't like the fact that Turkey has put Terrence Crawford above him. I understand that Terrence is fighting now and Floyd has retired and everything like that. But Floyd will always be a staple in my eyes of boxing history, just like Muhammad Ali, just like Sugar Ray Robinson, all of Brown, all of Joe Louis, all of these great fighters have been taken out of the conversation by these people that don't know nothing about boxing. You see what I'm saying? And they're only putting it because of who they like, you know, and you know, Turkey's now saying he's neutral with the Terrence Crawford and the Canelo fight, because he was saying that Canelo called him after the New York presser and he told him he was going to beat Terrence up and all. I just don't buy it. I think Terrence is going to roll jelly off of Canelo. I think Terrence is going to outbox him, because he said the same thing right before the Skull fight, and you saw he laid an egg in that Skull fight. It was one of his worst performances ever. And I just made a video about that, and I don't think that Canelo is going. He's not Canelo anymore. He's not the Canelo that we grew up. You know, he's this arrogant, pacified, temper tantrum fighter now. To me, Canelo is a puffed up champion. He's not the same since his last. I say within the last 2-3 years, because you know he's a one fighter a year fighter now. He's not actively fighting. I'm talking about great opponents that the fans want to see. You know, he's continually padding his pocket, which I don't blame him. You know, he feels that, you know, he fought all of the champions, which he did, and most of them was at the decline or the end of their career, you know. And like I always tell people, you know, when you're fighting somebody who's undefeated like Floyd did, Floyd fought all these champions when they were, I ain't gonna say all of them, but the majority of the 24, 25 champions that Floyd fought, they were undefeated. And to go up against an undefeated fighter is different than going up against a fighter who's lost. People don't understand the mentality of a fighter, for one. And for two, people don't understand what confidence does to the fight game. You know, that's why I love the way that Terrence is approaching this. And I want him to stop praising Canelo, because he's talking about the old Canelo. The new Canelo is not what he's talking about. You feel what I'm saying? Canelo, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer and all of this great stuff or whatever, because I believe that Canelo was a great fighter when he was a younger fighter and everything. And I believe that the alcohol, his partying, they're wearing and tearing on his body. You understand what I'm saying? I believe that he's got so big-headed that he doesn't love the sport anymore. It's just for the money. He's not fighting for the love of the sport. He's fighting for the money of the sport. And that's why the decline has happened in his career. And you're seeing these eggs that he's laying in the ring because he doesn't love it anymore. He wants to get a payday. You understand what I'm saying? And he's not giving his all. That's why I said Crawford is going to smoke him, because Crawford still loves the sport. He ain't looking at the money wise. He's trying to be great. That's why he's going up 3 weight classes and everything. And people are saying he's too small and this and that. And you seeing Canelo wearing stilettos, trying to be tall and all that, man. This boy, man, he got on boots every time he going in. And I ain't talking about Jerron Ennis. He got on big, thick, 7-inch soles, shoes to stand up to be face to face with Crawford. But when you saw him in Riyadh, Crawford was hovering over top of him, looking down on him. So this is what I'm saying. You know, these are the fakeness. It's fake. You know, you'll see the truth when they fight in September, that even though Canelo doing all this running his mouth like he's always done this within the last, like I said, 4 years. And everybody's been going the distance with him. I think the only knockout he's had within the last was against Caleb Plant, right? Wasn't it against Caleb Plant? I mean, I don't know. Was Billy Joe? I think Billy Joe Saunders was like 5 years ago, right? It was a while ago, but he ain't been rolling jelly like that. You know, Berlanga went the distance with him and went on a world tour for losing against Canelo, and and they're like putting Canelo in the same position as Floyd. Like if you lose to Canelo, it's okay. It's like, cause that's how it was with Floyd. If you lose to Floyd, it was like a learning. It was like you went to school or something. You know what I'm talking about? Floyd was whooping these dudes, and they were like, "It's okay," you know, like how remember Robert Garcia, not Robert Garcia, Robert Guerrero. Remember? They were like, man, they found Jesus when they fought Floyd. They ain't talking about nobody, no biblical Philippians 4:13. They ain't say nothing about nothing their whole career. When they got up to Floyd, thank you, God. Jesus gonna help me beat this guy. They found Christ when they fought Floyd. Then I'm like, man, these dudes fake. That's why they lost. Cause you fake. Man, you gotta start from the beginning. You gotta start from the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? If you coming into it, like I always tell you, Jesus love you. I know him. So, it's just funny to me because I know the truth. You know what I'm saying? And most people don't. Most people don't even they don't even have a clue of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But all of these fighters found God when they fought Floyd. You know what I'm saying? And it's just funny, man. And now they're trying to put Canelo in the position of Floyd. Never can happen. But this is what they do. This is what they do, you know, and a lot of it has to do with melanin. I don't because I don't really try to do the race baiting and all that crap. I don't really involve my time in that. But I mean, it's evident that's a part of it as well. You know what I'm saying? But I just believe that no matter if you like Floyd or not, you can't deny his boxing career, his resume, what he's done for the sport and everything. And Turki Alalshikh he's really trying to diminish that, you know, because Floyd, no matter where he is in his, personal career with this, with that New York stuff with the buildings and all of that stuff, Floyd is still one of the faces of boxing that will always be a face of the boxing. And I think that Turki, along with De La Hoya and all of these, and I don't believe Dana White shouldn't, because I remember Floyd wore that Butler visor on that little patch that Dana White. This was back in the day when Dana White was nobody. He helped Dana White's career. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't see people forget though. People forget I don't forget nothing. I got a memory like an elephant. You know what I mean? I remember everything, and I didn't take the jab, so it's not gonna mess up my consciousness. Floyd helped a whole lot of these so-called superstars in boxing today, and even promoters. Floyd helped them. Like Dana White, like I said, Dana White's career, Floyd was the first one to take stock in Dana White, because I remember Floyd said one time that this was probably dang near 20 years ago. But I remember Floyd talking about how Dana White used to carry his bags. Dana White, he used to pay Dana White and help Dana White's career. This was back when Dana, like I said, he was, you might as well say, a janitor. You know what I mean? And now that he's so big, he's not mentioning. See, because I never forget. If somebody do something for me, man, I'll always be thankful. I'll always mention it, because if that was, a part of my stepping the ladder to my future plans and successes that I've reached, I will always remember, you know what I mean, and give thanks to the people that helped me along the way. I'll never forget them, and I'll always mention that because it's a part of my, my novel. You know what I mean? The chapters in my book, it's going to be a part of that. So I'll always remember that, and these people today forget, like I said, within an hour, you forgetting what you just heard. You know what I mean? It's like unbelievable to me that these people are just taking Mayweather out of the equation, and he helped so many people. And because of his situations that have been going on lately, as far as with the $402 million investment in these properties and they're finding out that it was sort of like a scam or whatever. I don't know, man. But like I said, I always say what 50 Cent said a long time ago, because him and Floyd was like best friends. He told everybody, this was probably like, got to be 15 years ago. He told, and I'll never forget it, he said that Floyd fights, get the money, spend the money. He got to fight. He said that Floyd Mayweather's life, his fighting life, is like a plane without wheels. He said he in the sky. Well, I'm paraphrasing now, but he in the sky, he flying high. But as soon as he trying to land, he need to fight again because he ain't got no wheels to land in. It'll crash and burn. And we're starting to see that his words came true. 50 Cent came true and said that this was, like I said, this is probably 15. It might be even 20. It was a long time ago, and it stuck in my head that when 50 Cent said that, I started to see the pattern that Floyd had, because every time he was spending, $1 million a week, and he was doing crazy stuff and everything. And then, he started, after his career, he started doing these exhibitions, and then you see him on shopping sprees and all that. And it was like he always had to, fight, get the money. And it became a pattern because it was a habitual thing that Floyd created during his fighting career, because he would always, spend all of this bread on different things, because the materialism really made Floyd popular, because most people wanted to see the money aspect of it than, him training and all that. They came to see, his lifestyle, because he sold the lifestyle. And that's why these fighters today want that lifestyle, but they don't want to box, because they didn't understand what Floyd was doing. He was giving the people what they wanted to see, but he was also giving the people what they wanted to see when they saw him fight in the ring. And a lot of these fighters today aren't giving the people what they want to see in the ring, but they're giving them, like Devin Haney just, I'm sorry, the boy from Henderson, Nevada, just posted up after that horrible victory over Ramirez, him buying like 2 watches and spending like $1.4 million or whatever on jewelry and all this other stuff, when he laid an egg in there. He ran 12 rounds. It was a horrible performance, but you see him now doing what Floyd did, showing you the watches and the jewelry and the cars and all that. But Floyd gave you what you wanted to see in the ring. He mesmerized it and showed why it was a sweet science. He showed, because Floyd, most of the time when he fought, he was the sweet science. And that's why I said to call these newcomers and these, I ain't gonna say newcomers, but these younger generational boxers, putting them in the same breath as Floyd, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. They ought to be ashamed to say Forrest Gump or Shakur Stevens is just as good as Floyd. I said, man, what the hell? Man, Floyd packed out. Man, Floyd sold out Las Vegas. Not just the arena. Las Vegas shut down when he fought. Look, people were walking out on Forrest Gump's fight in his own hometown in New Jersey. They were walking out. And y'all gonna say that this guy is the same as, man, that's why I was so upset. But people won't listen to what I gotta say, because like I said, I'm more of the truth teller. Like, I tell you the truth, because most things I say, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt your pride, your feelings towards a boxer who hasn't proven himself to be this great Hall of Fame fighter. Like even though Keyshawn from my state or whatever, he's not. He only 13 and 0 with 9 knockouts. He ain't did nothing, but they putting him up on a pedestal of this and that, of the greatest fighters, and he's missing weight. He's missing weight. Look at the past history of the greatest fighters and see if they miss weight like him for a title fight against great opponents now. So that's why I was saying it was a way out for Keyshawn to do that. He ain't really want to fight him like that. Because if he did, he wouldn't have been doing all of them daggone interviews. He would have been training. But here we go. We got the state of boxing, man. It's that's why I said it's diminished. And Keyshawn signed with Turki Alalshikh. Forrest Gump signed with Turki Alalshikh. For those who know, that's Shakur Stevens. I call him Forrest Gump because he's a runner in my eyes. You know, I don't care what nobody say. I ain't like the simple fact that he continue. See, with me, with Shakur, I don't like him because of the fact that he lied. You know, and I'm gonna say this. I always say this. He lied, and he continues to lie with that fight with Tank. You know, he had the opportunity because, like I said, Terrence laid the blueprint down for him when he fought Spence. When he left Top Rank, Terrence left Top Rank and went to negotiate with PBC, and negotiations fell through at first. He went and fought Avanesian, knocked him out, came back to the table, and they, you know, because his stock went up after he beat Avanesian, who was ranked probably number 6 or whatever. And then he went back and fought Spence and made the deal, and he beat Spence. And that right there laid the blueprint for what you do. But to me, Floyd laid the blueprint again. He laid the blueprint a long time ago when he left Top Rank, paid his way out of his contract. You understand? He did that long time ago, made all the money. That's why he was making way more money when he started Mayweather Promotions. But I digress on that. So when Shakur, Forrest did the same thing. He left Top Rank because Bob Arum ain't want to spend all that. He was wasting money on Shakur. He was losing money. That's why he let him, man, go ahead and do your thing. He losing money. See, Floyd had to buy his way out of this contract because Bob didn't want to let him go because he was getting paid with Floyd. But Floyd wasn't making no money. You see what I'm saying? I mean, he was making money, but he wasn't making the money that he was supposed to be making. Like when he left, that's what made his trajectory go into a stratosphere. That's why he started making the you know, billions of dollars, basically. You know what I mean? He's making the sport billions, but he was getting, you know, half that. So he was getting real money. And so when Forrest left Top Rank, he had the opportunity to do what Terrence did, and he turned it down. He went to Eddie Hearn. He didn't go to Top Rank. I mean, they said, what's his name? Steven Espinoza told one of them platforms that they offered Shakur the Tank fight, the one fight deal. They offered him because Tank reached out to him, said, let's make this fight happen. And Shakur turned it down, talking about he wanted a multi-fight deal. But how does that make sense if you lose? What? We're going to lose money now. You got beat by our fighter and you wanted a multi-fight deal when you've been hollering about you want to fight him, and we give you the one fight deal and you turn it down, and then you expect us to believe that Tank is running from you? That's why I say, man, that's why I don't like him. And he swear he's so tough, and he's not. He's not. And you know, I don't pray that Williams will pay to beat him, but you're gonna reap what you sow. And I don't like him, man. I don't like Shakur. I don't like him, man. He's not what people think he is, man. At least in my eyes, that's what I believe. Cause I know people like him, man. I ain't gonna say like I love Shakur. Don't get me wrong. Listen to what I'm saying. I love him as a person, as somebody whose spirit needs to be redeemed. But his attitude and the way that he goes about doing his thing or whatever, it's not true, man. He's a liar. You know what I'm saying? He's fake. And people, you could say whatever you want. He could be your favorite fighter and all of that. But if you do your research, you'll understand I'm telling the truth, man. And most people don't like to hear what I say because I tell the truth about a situation. And I just know that a no-name fighter is going to knock him out. I just know it. I know a person that, and it might be Zepeda, but somebody's going to knock him out and make him a meme because he's not what people think he is. And he's gonna pay for the lies that he spread it throughout, that Javante fight, because he's always down in Javante when he used to look up to him. I couldn't do that, as a fighter. I say, yeah, I want to fight you, but I know that, at one point, this guy was something that I used to follow and I wanted to be like or whatever. But, these fighters got too much pride and too much. I don't care. That's the thing. I don't care what folks think like that. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts folks that can't handle the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like a Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men. You know what I'm saying? Most people can't handle the truth. And if he was to tell the truth, it would be better, even though it might make him look soft, because it won't make him look soft. The truth will never make you look soft. The truth will always make you look strong, no matter if it's sounding soft to a person who don't understand. If you tell the truth about that situation, I would respect him more by saying, yeah, I avoided him or whatever, because that's what he did. He avoided Tank, and he keep on using Tank to uplift his career, which is dismal. Everybody knows Shakur ain't no daggone a feature in boxing. That's why Turkey was saying in this Ring Magazine video that he wants to put money and help Shakur if he performs. That's what he said. If he performs, because everybody know he's a runner. I know boxing, don't get me wrong. He's a boxer or whatever, but he runs. Like boxing, angles, movement, footwork, all that. I understand that, but no, Shakur will turn his back on somebody who has power and run. He would not engage. And fans, they want to see this, because the fans are the Romans. I know this is a long post, but this is something that need to be heard, man. Fans are the Romans. They don't understand the sweet science like former boxers do, or people who've been in it for so long. Fans want to see a fight. They want to see blood, guts, sweat and tears, all that stuff. They want to see gladiators go at it. They believe in the Rocky movies. You know what I'm talking about? They believe that Rocky beat up these Negroes. They believe that. And Bob Arum told y'all a long time ago, he ain't like to put up his guys against Negro fighters. What? Man, them Negroes, they were too athletic. Like he was like, nah, I try to avoid Negroes. That's Bob Arum to tell you. But the fans believe in the Rocky movies. They believe that Rocky eye closed and the punches that they believe that. That's not boxing with you. That's entertainment. That's a movie. So this is what I'm saying. That's what they want. See, these fighters aren't willing to give you that. Majority of the top echelon fighters aren't willing to give you that fight like that. They're willing to box. They're willing to what we consider today as running. You know what I mean? But a lot of it has to do with movement and footwork and all that. But the fans, that's why I said most fans don't know what they're looking at, because they want to see the Rocky. They want to see the blood. They want to see the knock down 5 times, get up 5 times, knock. You know what I'm saying? They want to see that type fight. And the pure boxers aren't giving you that. Like a Shakur is not giving you that knock down, drag them out fight. You'll get that from the fighters that have the heart, like a Terrence Crawford, that skillful fighters, but he'll bang with you at the same time. He'll get in the fire, and like a Keyshawn Davis, they want to bang with you. They want to fight because they're aggressive fighters, and they want to give the fans what they want to see, but at the same time, that's what they like to do. See, when you got a boxer compared to a boxer brawler, who got the to me Terrence has the total package. he's a boxer, he's a brawler, he's a slugger, he's all of it. He'll give you what you want to see because, Bud comes out. You understand it, Terrence and Bud is two different people. You know what I'm talking about? And so by them underestimating him with this Canelo fight as well, you're going to see the difference of what I'm saying. Because I underestimated Bud at one time. You know what I'm saying? Against Spence. Because I thought, well, this is before the accident. Once the accident happened, it was all up for grabs. But I still thought Spence, because of his performances against Ugas and Danny Garcia, after the fight, even though to me, I don't think Danny was a great fighter. He's a great fighter. As far as elite, Danny fought the best, but he lost to all of them. But I don't know. Elite fighters win against other elite fighters. You know what I'm saying? But all of the big names that when he fought at the time. But I don't really want to get onto that. But I just felt like Spence was, I knew he wasn't 100% because, you don't land in the roadway on concrete, asphalt, and be the same ever again. Even though he didn't break a bone, he knocked out some teeth and all that other stuff, had to get reconstruction surgery and something like that. But he ain't break a bone. So I figured that, but it was more than what it was said to be because Spence really, he has the heart, and a lot of people, they wrote him off after the Terrence defeat, because of the way that Terrence beat him and because of how Spence looked after the fight and, leading up to the fight, how he down, just like Canelo is doing, Crawford's resume and his accomplishments and all of that other stuff. They kind of overlooked that Crawford was a undisputed champion before he fought Spence, because he became a 2-time undisputed after the Spence fight. But he was an undisputed champion at 140, and he had an illustrious career at the lower weight classes, and they kind of like just overlooked it, saying that he was too small, and the Gamboa fight didn't do him any justice because Gamboa basically stunned him or whatever. He had him hurt, but Crawford recovered because his conditioning was up to par. And Canelo was doing the same thing that Spence did. And Canelo, like I said, that GOATS podcast that they had just put out yesterday, or day before yesterday, whenever it was, he was talking trash about Crawford before the Skull fight. And look what he did with the Skull fight. See, that's why I was saying, and Skull is nowhere near Crawford's level. Nowhere near Crawford's level. And people could yell all about what they want. That Skull ran and he didn't want to fight and everything. But no, I put the emphasis on Canelo. You El Capitan. You the El Matador or whatever you want to call yourself, the top of the top, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, the king of boxing, and you don't know how to cut off the ring? With a guy nobody ever heard of? Nobody ever heard of Skull. For real, tell the truth. People, I learned about him the week of the fight. When it was announced, that's when I started doing my research on him. He's a pretty good fighter and everything, but he ain't on Crawford's level. And Canelo did what he did with Skull. Ain't gonna talk crazy to Crawford, telling him, remember this moment when Crawford got in his face at the New York presser and saying, remember this moment and all that, and you lay the egg with a guy who ain't even on this guy. Man, Crawford is, that's why I said, man, Crawford is gonna, man, he gonna put these folks to rest. And I just pray that he get Canelo hurt. I pray he get Canelo hurt. Cause we ain't never seen really Canelo hurt. I seen him stunned before. He was stunned a couple times in that Bivol fight. He was stunned in that Golovkin fight. He was stunned in his early career too against this no-name guy. I can't remember his name, but Yeah, he was stunned a couple times, but to get him hurt, like, wobbling, I just believe, yeah, too many shots he didn't took as far as tequila. Crawford can get him hurt, and if he gets hurt with Crawford, whew, man, it's going. Man, let me tell you something. That fight is going to be. I'm gonna watch that fight 100 times, just like when I watch him and Floyd. I watched that fight. I know I saw that fight at least 30 times. I think I watched that fight about 30 times or more, probably more. Him and Canelo and Floyd Mayweather, when they fought in Las Vegas, I watched that fight about 30 times after that fight. And I still don't understand how they can have a split decision. That's why I'm saying this. That's why I said boxing, because everybody know boxing is fixed and it be rigged most of the time, and it's all about the name and who they're trying to promote and who they're trying to bring up the ranks. That's why Canelo is avoiding them Floyd, because Floyd taught him a lesson. Floyd whooped that, man. He let him know that it was levels. I don't care if people say, "Oh, that was early in Canelo career." Nah, he had more fights. He was the up and coming, younger, stronger, more talented. All this. That's what they were touting him. Remember Oscar and Bernard? This is the guy that's gonna be Floyd. This is the one. And Floyd was way out of his prime. He was Money Mayweather then, because his prime to me was Pretty Boy. He was Money Mayweather then. He was fighting off just skill and abilities, and Floyd dusted him. And now, when you ask Canelo about Floyd, he don't want to talk about it, because he remember that beating. He remember that. That's why I said he remembers the loss. That's why I said Crawford can beat him. Because when you got a fighter, that's why I was telling y'all about confidence. When you got a fighter like Ricky Hatton was when he fought Floyd, he was undefeated. He was invincible. Why you think he was in Floyd's face like he was in the leading up to the fight? He was undefeated. His confidence was through the roof. Floyd beat that boy like he was average. Floyd made him look average, knocked him out in the 10th round. Check hook, left hook, knocked him out. But he was beating him through the whole fight. Easy work. It was easy work. Easy work. Hatton never pose Floyd a problem. And here it is. Manny Pacquiao gets more rah-rah and exhortation than Floyd did, because he knocked Ricky Hatton out in the second round or something. It was early, right? He knocked him out. But you got to understand, the boy already took a loss. Floyd beat him down, and the boy confidence was through the roof. Ricky Hatton was through the roof. His confidence was through the roof. You understand what I'm saying? I would have liked to see. I mean, these are wish list things, but I would have rather seen Ricky Hatton fight Manny Pacquiao before he fought Floyd when he was undefeated. I bet you he'd gave Manny more of a go than after Floyd beat him up. Because that's why I said all of these fighters, once they lose, just like how you see the boy from Henderson, Nevada, after he got beat up. I mean, he got demolished by Ryan Garcia, and look at him now. He's a shell of himself. Cause I used to love him, man. I ain't gonna lie. I used to think that, like, I ain't gonna say I used to love him. I used to like cause he had a great jab. He had heart to me. I thought he had heart at the time, until he wanted to sue Ryan Garcia. And I really, when I'm really starting to think about it, I hope it probably was Bill. It sounded like it was Bill's doing. Like, Bill would be the one that want to sue somebody, because Bill, he borderline sucker. You know what I'm talking about? He a borderline sucker, if you ask me. And but I still ain't gonna mention it. I always say the boy from Henderson, Nevada. I ain't mentioning his name on my channel. because we boxers don't sue other boxers. You know, you signed up to get your brains beat out. I'm serious. That's your job, to get your brains beat out. You know what I'm saying? And in 10, 15, 20 years, you gonna be talking about shit. I used to be a shit. Yeah, shit. Yeah, and people ain't gonna understand because you got your brains beat out. That's what it do. But yeah, man, getting back to Turki Alalshikh and his future plans for boxing with this Ring magazine interview, I'm just against it. I'm against Turki. I don't like him. I don't like what he's doing. Like I said, I can't say I don't like him as a person per se, but I don't like what he's doing with boxing. I like the fact that he's trying to get the names and everything, but all of these Saudi Arabian customs in American boxing, that's not going. Most boxers, we mean spirited. If I'm want to fight you, I ain't trying to sit down and eat with you. I don't even really want to shake your hand till after it's over. Because once we sign that contract, you are now my enemy. I don't care what you did before me. I'm not mentioning it. I'm not talking about you great, because I'm about to take everything that you got. That's just the mentality of a fighter in my eyes. That's how we were brought up as fighters. You know what I'm saying? You don't after you respect the sport and the man or whatever, but once y'all get a contract signed, or once you get in there to spar or whatever you're going to do, respect goes out the window. This is just a regular guy that you want to show your skills against. You feel what I'm saying? So, but like I said, I'm a dying breed. I'm a dinosaur in this thing, and I always resort back to the foundation of boxing, you know, which is a sweet science to hit and not get hit, but to perform to the level while not getting hit, meaning giving the fans what they want to see, like a Floyd Mayweather. That's why I say he the blueprint in that. You know, these fighters today, they don't even want to fight each other. They best friends now. They kumbaya in it. They want to hang out, but they want to wear the jewelry. They want to buy everything. They want to do this, but then when they get in the ring, they dance with each other. They don't want to hit each other. They throw the fewest punches in CompuBox history. They want to, you know, the internet has destroyed a lot of it, if you ask me. You know, because everybody wants to be an internet sensation instead of a boxer. You know, they want to be this Twitter, well, X now. It's X. They want to be, you know, known for their social media platforms, you know what I'm saying, instead of, you know, fighting. But that's all I got, man. This is MikiBlik, Ski Mask Way Boxing. Like, share, subscribe, comment. If you haven't seen the Turki Alalshikh Future Plan Ring Magazine video, you should go check it out. It's like 30 minutes long, and you'll hear them all talking and everything. And comment below and how you feel. Most people ain't gonna agree with me, you know, because like I said, it's a different generation now that we're in, and like I said, you know, the internet and social media and so many things, that technology has kind of ruined boxing and ruined the mindset of these younger these up and coming boxers, because they rather be well known on the internet instead of in the ring. Amen. So yeah, we'll see what's coming down the pike for boxing and everything, but I just feel like Turki he's not good for boxing, even though I'm happy that these fighters are getting more money, but they need to bring forth the performances for the amount of money that they're getting for the fans, because I think the fans are suffering and they're thirsty for fights that are going to whet their appetites. You know what I'm saying? And I just truly believe that that boxing is still in a downward spiral, and I hope that these fight cards that's coming up that will give us what we want to see and everything. I definitely think that in September people are going to be shocked by the results of the Terrence Crawford and Terrence Crawford and Canelo fight. I believe that Crawford is going to win, and I believe that it's going to be a shocking win the way that he does it. It's sort of like how we had in our mind about him and Spence fighting one another, and the way that he did Spence. Ooh, 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 ooh. I would have never thought it would end up like that. Tell the truth. If you would tell the truth, you would never thought Crawford would do Spence like he did him. And that's how I believe that he gonna do Canelo. I don't know about, knockout or anything like that, but I think he gonna beat Canelo. I think he gonna box circle. He gonna look totally different from what he did with Madrimov. I think he gonna look totally different. And I think he gonna, man, you gonna see a Crawford. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful in my eyes. I can feel it. I can feel it. He gonna be the sweet science that night. I just feel it. Crawford gonna box circles around Canelo. I just think Canelo gonna be too slow, too wide with his punches. Cause Canelo's lost it. Look, go watch that Skull fight. Throwing wild punches. Skull was weaving all that stuff. And the people saying he was running. Okay, okay, it's an argument there, here and there, but just go watch that fight and then picture him and Crawford fighting. I'm telling you. And look at the size that they are at the New York presser. Look at the size Crawford was, and look at the size Canelo was. Canelo was always a small 168 pounder, 160 pounder, and all that. He was always smaller than the guys he went up against, but his skills were vast ahead of them. He had a training from Floyd Mayweather. He had a lesson from Floyd that taught him, and you could tell the way he fought after Floyd. Man, he started fighting like Floyd. He studied Floyd. You could tell, man. But people won't give Floyd credit because they don't like him. They don't like him because he wasn't what people wanted to see, as far as, he had all of the mouth, he had the money, he had everything, and people was jealous of Floyd. So, but that's all I got, fight fans. I thank y'all for listening to me. Those who have stayed to the end, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and I thank y'all, man. I thank the new subscribers. I thank all of the people who have been communicating with Ski Mask Way Boxing. Shout out to Project Beamers. Yeah, good dude, man. I appreciate his conversation, and a couple of other subscribers that I got. Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all stay focused and continue to watch the fights, and give me your thoughts on what you believe. If you believe I'm talking truth or I'm just talking crazy, because it don't matter to me. I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and let the chips fall where they may. You feel what I'm saying? But I appreciate y'all, man, listening and subscribing to the channel and giving me conversation, because that's what it's all about. Building the conversational bridges so that we can understand one another and see where we're coming from, from the fight mind and the fan mind, and how you feel about what you're seeing that these fighters are giving us when they step into that square circle. But y'all take care, fight fans, and never, never, never forget that Jesus loves you. Amen. Amen. Take care, fight fans.